A recent social media trend involves posting pictures of perfectly clean, color-coded, organized to a T spaces, followed by the hashtag OCD, or a short comment like, "I'm so OCD, LOL." The phrase is used tongue-in-cheek as a joke. I know, I get that. Sometimes even as something to aspire to or celebrate. Look at this, isn't it great? Don't you want some of this? My daughter Breland has OCD, but I gotta tell you, it's nothing like the Instagram version that you post and hashtag. OCD, or obsessive compulsive disorder, is neither a verb nor an adjective as you use it on social media. You gotta know that. It's also a serious condition, a disorder that results from a chemical imbalance in the brain, and it is never a choice. Perhaps I can paint the picture of what the OCD that we came to know and live with looked like. One night, about 9 o'clock, Breland came home from work. It was a freezing cold night in the dark of winter, and it wasn't until after about 3 hours of her coming home that the OCD kicked in to convince her that she'd hit someone on her way home from work. She decided she had to go out and check the roadsides and ditches. So the thing is, going back to check to see if she'd hit something or someone, that was not uncommon for Bree. Driving was difficult and stressful for her. She was obsessively concerned with hurting someone with her car. The 3-mile commute to her waitress job could take her upwards of an hour due to the repeated looping back and forth to check her path. You would think she would have known every pothole in the road, but the OCD demanded that those bumps she felt as she was driving were not potholes, but people. So this night, as Breland went to leave the house, her then fiance tried to restrain her. It almost cost him their engagement. Her dad led her through good, solid logic of why going out and checking was absolutely not necessary. It was at this point that Breland threw back her shoulders in a fit of rage and tears and emphatically announced she was driving to the police station to turn herself in if no one would let her go out and check the roadsides for bodies. Here was this gentle soul who would never intentionally hurt anyone, who honestly believed she'd killed someone, left them injured and alone in a ditch in the dark to die in the freezing cold. Just imagine her anguish. It was moments like this that made me hate the OCD so bad I could literally taste it. But years of experience with this monster led me to deal differently. So I said, Bree, maybe you should go turn yourself into the police. The OCD was startled, shocked, and left Breland without the support of a retort. So I continued, what do you think the police are going to tell you, Bree? She insisted they would throw her in jail, and she deserved to be there. Again, I agreed to a point. Breland, I think they're going to see that you need to be removed from society for a little while, but not thrown in jail. They'll be able to tell you're already living in a cage and being managed by a monster. More than likely, they'll suggest to stay in a mental hospital where you can get the help you need. And Breland, you need help to beat this. The OCD was outwitted long enough for Breland to regroup and summon the skills and strategies she had spent years practicing. She didn't go out, check the roadsides that night, nor did she go turn herself into the police. But let's note, reason nor restraint were effective for her, but it was the strategies that she had learned and practiced for years that allowed her the escape. Breland was first diagnosed with OCD when she was about 8 years old. And as parents, we really struggled to understand and find ways to help her battle. What we arrived at was a strategy built on a simple analogy. We compared Breland's OCD to a monster. Not the kind of monster she needed to fear, but a hungry monster that constantly demanded to be fed. The monster represented Breland's obsessions. They came into her brain uninvited, set up monster camp, or an intrusive thought loop that just played over and over. And the way it wanted to be fed was through the compulsions or the behaviors that she needed to perform perfectly and ritualistically. The thing is, performing those behaviors never satisfied the monster, ever. In fact, the only thing that did is to make the monster grow bigger and stronger. And bigger monsters are hungrier monsters and grow more insistent with size. So we told Breland the way to quiet the monster was to starve it. Hungry monsters grow weak and eventually tired. So the longer she could delay feeding it or performing the rituals it asked for, the quieter it would become over time. Starving the monster worked, but it required Breland to make a very difficult decision between living for a short time in an extreme and excruciating amount of discomfort and anxiety, or living a lifetime with the monster roaring. It's a strategy that offers hope that things can get better. It offers compassion for the pain and suffering associated with the OCD. It offers empowerment for those with OCD to know that there's something they can actually do about it, and encouragement for them to keep doing it. The benefits are far-reaching, not only for those with OCD, but those who suffer alongside them. And even those whose only connection to OCD is a hashtag. Because after all, we all have monsters that need to be starved, don't we? Before we could engage in starving the monster, we had to acknowledge it in a way that was honest, accurate, and non-judgmental. Truth be told, that's actually what we did differently than others with OCD. We didn't hide it. We called it out, externalized it, and acknowledged it in front of the world, because we believe you can't be beat by something you don't fear. Should I repeat that for you? You cannot be beaten by something you do not fear. I'm not sure whether it was starving the monster or calling it out that allowed Breland to live a happy and fulfilled and productive life. But this I do know, a monster lived in our house, and we were not afraid. It also allowed Breland to live a happy and fulfilled life as a productive member of society. In our family, we don't believe in doing helpless or hopeless. In fact, that's not even allowed. So we help others today starve their monsters and slay their monsters. It's a cause you can take up too. You can't starve someone else's monster if it's not yours to starve, but you can be the one person who can see non-judgmentally their OCD for what it is and what it isn't. It isn't something they choose, and it isn't something that brings them joy. Today, I'm a member of a large OCD support community online. And those people in that group who truly suffer with OCD, they want you to know something. Those posts that you hashtag and post on social media, those are not representative of the real OCD experience. But they can't tell you this because they hide their OCD from you. Do you really think if their OCD was so great as those posts that you post, that they'd feel like they need to hide it from you? Can we just acknowledge the irony here? Social media glorifies OCD while society continues to stigmatize it along with all other mental illness. Both of these views stem from a lack of knowledge and understanding. We are not helpless to change that. There is something we can do. And I promised those people in that group that I would do something for them tonight. So please allow me to be their voice on this stage tonight. World, OCD is not something to aspire to. And it was not something we were going to allow to ruin our daughter's life. Like I said, it is our cause today to help others slay their monsters. It's a cause you can take up too. You can be that one they can trust. You can be that one that will empower them to keep the monster out in the open where they don't need to hide it and they don't need to fear. Should you choose to take up this cause, can I suggest 2 alternative hashtags that you could use in place of the ones you have been using that would send a signal to those with OCD that you want to understand and you're willing to support? I'll just tell you from personal experience that seeing these 2 hashtags as a show of solidarity and support would be amazing because we didn't have the support we needed when Breland was first diagnosed. In fact, we had to own the responsibility to rally that support by telling family and friends and teachers and everyone else about OCD. The hope that it would give those with OCD to see your show of support would be just amazing and incredible, and I guarantee you it would change their lives. Thank you.